are now listening to the IELTS Podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
IELTS Advanced Speaking Skills. In today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at intonation. Now, in IELTS Speaking Part 3, intonation plays a crucial role in conveying meaning and showcasing your language proficiency. Now, proper intonation can exponentially is it's exaggerating, but it can definitely enhance your spoken English skills and make your responses more engaging and persuasive. So, in this tutorial, we're going to look at why it's important, which parts of speech in the English language require intonation, how you can improve your intonation, and I'm going to try and share with you some examples of correct intonation when answering IELTS Part 3 questions. We also look at poor answers and high scoring answers as well. So before we get started, my name is Ben Worthington. I've been preparing students for IELTS well over 10 years now, for well over 10 years now. I started as a general English tutor, and on Thursdays I'd be doing business students, on Wednesdays I'd be doing kids, on Fridays I would be doing adolescents, and it was not only was it driving me crazy, but some students I wasn't that keen on, to be honest. The adolescents, they had no interest. They were forced to be there, and it's not so rewarding as a tutor. But then I remember I got sent this IELTS student. She was at risk of failing the exam. So some other tutor sent her to me. She knew that I was quite proficient in helping students and getting results. And when I was working with this student, the level of ambition, the curiosity, the interest, the drive, it just made a good match, especially when I started to advertise for more IELTS students, because it's like, hey, I like these guys. It's a good match for a good fit, I mean, this is a tutor myself. I'm always teaching standing up. I don't like sitting down. I'm quite active. I'm all over the place. And my students, they liked that. They liked active lessons. They didn't want to start every class with, "Oh, how are you? How's your weekend?" No. And also with IELTS students, they needed results. And I have always been obsessed with getting results. And it's kind of curious, actually, that I ended up in this sector, because there's only 3 sectors in the entire world where results cannot be guaranteed. Education, because if the student, for no matter how hard you try, if the student's not interested, you're probably not going to get the results. However, if the student's ambitious and smart, like most IELTS students are, you get the results. Hence what I was saying before about a good fit. The second industry, agriculture. At the moment, anyway, we cannot control the weather. Plant a crop, get a drought, it's out of your control. You do not control the results. Finally, medicine. As good a doctor as you are, in some cases, I'm not so entirely sure if it's true nowadays, but I still think that in some cases, I don't know actually, but in some cases there will be places where you cannot guarantee the results, probably in a lot of situations. Anyway, medicine, agriculture, not my field. My field is education. With an enthusiastic student, with a bright student, an ambitious student, like most IELTS students are, we can get results. And that's why I decided to work with IELTS students. Anyway, that's how I started IELTS Podcast. I started interviewing more experts, so I was a little bit lost myself. I interviewed ex-IELTS examiners, pronunciation professionals, linguistics experts, speaking experts. If it worked, it went into the course. If it didn't work, I just let it rot. so to speak. No, but I tested what they told me. If it worked, I put it into the course. If it didn't, just left it out. Just left it. Right then, which parts of speech usually require intonation? Of course, we're talking about the English language. Other languages have different intonation patterns. Anyway, questions. When asking a question, your intonation should rise towards the end of the sentence. Do you understand that? So if I said, what is the capital of France? There's no intonation there. It's not going to be so easy to understand. A better way would be, what is the capital of France? Do you come here often? Okay. We go up at the end or towards the end. Emphasis. We use intonation to emphasize specific words or phrases to highlight their importance or contrast. So, poor answer. I prefer watching comedies. High scoring answer. I prefer watching comedies. Just put in the emphasis on the important words in that sentence. I prefer watching comedies. It's only a moderate intonation, but it just makes that slight difference. Contrast. We use intonation to show contrast between ideas or ideas or options. For example, we could say, I like hiking and swimming. Ugh, it's horrible. It's horrible. However, if I put a rising intonation on hiking and swimming, it starts to become a little bit clearer. I like both hiking and swimming. We're putting the intonation on the important parts of the sentence, the important words, and doesn't really need that much emphasis. I like both hiking and swimming. Now it's very clear and we've indicated contrast. Now, how do we improve our intonation skills? My favorite is, two favorites actually. My most favorite is the second one. But an easy way is to listen to native English speakers. Pay attention to their intonation patterns. Now, when I'm working one-on-one with a private student for the speaking, we break it down. We either work on fluency or we work on accuracy. And then, if necessary, we break it down again. So, for example, we are working on accuracy, we break it down, and we see which words are not getting stressed. And then once we've got the stress patterns right, we can move over to fluency. Okay? But why am I telling you this about accuracy and fluency? Well, with most challenges, with most areas, with most subjects or matters that we want to study and master, very often, the first step is to break it down into smaller components. And this is a clear example. By listening to native English speakers and just perhaps forgetting about the content, forgetting about the vocabulary, but just deciding to listen for once, just on the intonation pattern, is going to start making a difference. So you can listen to podcasts, to interviews, to conversations. Personally, I believe going for authentic native English speaker material. So listen to a podcast about architecture, listen to a podcast about travel, listen to a podcast about crime. You're going to get to hear different accents. You're going to get to hear different authentic subject matter experts. My favorite way, the second way, is to mimic and imitate. I actually got this from an interview I did a while ago. She was telling me about this Turkish student who, over the course of a weekend, came in sounding almost like a newscaster, like the BBC on today's news, XYZ happened, or today's news, the British government decided to get a new PM, new Prime Minister, whatever. But this student spent the whole weekend mimicking and trying to emulate, try to imitate how the newscasters spoke. And it helped him a lot to improve. So when you're doing this, a few steps you want to keep in mind. One, you're probably better recording yourself and comparing your intonation with the original. If you're high tech, maybe you could even download some software, some speech editing software, and you can visually see the emphasis on different words, and you could match that with the recording of, match the original with yours. Second one, you could focus on your pitch variation and how it rises and falls. Also, on how you stress certain syllables or certain words. Third way that you can improve your intonation is just trying to use it in everyday conversations. So what you've learned while you're recording yourself at home or while you're listening, try and use that the next time you speak to your manager in English, the next time you speak to a friend who you converse with in English. And just pay attention to your own intonation in your own speech and just try to be consciously incorporating these variations. Probably easier said than done. Perhaps you would want to even, practice a joke beforehand. Be careful with that though, because some jokes, from a lot of personal experience in this matter, some jokes just do not translate. They do not carry over. My poor students, how they had to suffer because I was insistent that jokes could be translated, like jokes can be transferred, not just translated, but could be carried over from one culture to another. Anyway, let's listen to some examples of correct intonation for a typical IELTS Part 3 exam section. How has technology changed the way people communicate with each other? Poor answer. Technology has changed the way people communicate with each other. Flat. It's almost more difficult as well to understand. High scoring answer. Well, technology has changed the way people communicate with each other. Okay, so I'm trying there to softly emphasize changed and communicate. Well, technology has changed the way people communicate with each other. So in that high scoring one, we've got the intonation that helps to distinguish, to help convey the significance of the change and adds the emphasis to the key points. Now, intonation is a module that we've got in the Speaking Confidence course. We go into it with more detail. And in this course, we teach you how to respond to the examiner quickly and automatically. We give you frameworks, we give you tools, we give you a system. Again, very much like the new essay checker, like the new course we've got about Band 9 frameworks. Modern students, smart students, are nowadays using more tools rather than information. Information is all well and good, but the problem is nowadays there's too much information. And it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to sit there like a couch potato, just watching video after video, getting the feeling that you're preparing, but we all really know in the back of our minds, we're not preparing. We're passively preparing, casually preparing. In my opinion, and you probably agree if you're an IELTS student, the real preparation comes when you put pen to paper. When you start writing, when you start typing, when you start applying the information that you've learned. And that's why I believe frameworks and tools are so much more incredibly powerful, more powerful than information alone. Because with most tools, they force you to apply what you've learned. We haven't got a speaking feedback tool just yet. We've got the frameworks, we've got the drills, got the exercises. If everything goes well, we will have a speaking chatbot this year. Fingers crossed. And we will need students to help us test and launch that. But at the moment, we've just got this wonderful course. We've tried to move away from information, as I've been saying, tried to move towards tools. Tools are what smart students are using. Tools just, it's like, any tool usually just makes the whole job easier, faster and quicker. A pencil is a tool. Imagine writing without a pencil. I mean, obviously, if you didn't have a laptop, it's going to be harder. Your laptop is a tool. And, if you're preparing for IELTS nowadays without using tools, you really are missing out. So jump onto IELTS Podcast, sign up to our newsletter there. You'll get a free introductory course about how to use tools in 2023, how to pass the exam quickly, and also, if you sign up now, we are giving you a free ebook full of topic ideas, model essays, vocabulary lists. It's like a real quick start ebook to help you pass the exam faster. One final thing, if you enjoyed this tutorial, share it with your friends, please. If you've got a friend who's studying for the exam, send them this link. Hopefully we can help them too. Also, if you enjoy this tutorial, please go to iTunes, leave us a review. Go to Spotify, Google Play, wherever you are listening, please leave us a review. I would be very grateful. And even, just take a screenshot of that review, send it to us, and we've got a special bonus for you, just to say thank you, which will help you. And this bonus is going to help you pass the exam, trust me. That's it from me today. I wish you a beautiful day. And if you are frustrated, if you are struggling with the exam, sign up to our newsletter. And also take a step back. It's easy to get overwhelmed with this exam. Just take a step back, try to see the big picture. IELTS is this small obstacle that's kind of blocking you, stopping you, or even restricting you. It's a gate, not an obstacle. But at the moment, I imagine the gate's closed. With our help, we can help you open that gate and get to Australia, to Canada, to the UK, wherever it is. Good luck, have a beautiful day, and thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.